In Lesson 4, we are going to be taking our table created in AutoCAD and importing it into 3ds Max. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to be importing it as a DWG file. So find AutoCAD DWG on the import. And then the easiest way to do this is to copy the link and then paste it in. Rather than trying to search, just copy that link and then say open. And select the final AutoCAD table you did. And look at the smooth angle. The smaller that number, the clearer and less jaggedy the image comes in. However, they do become larger files, so you have to be careful on complex items. So then we want to make sure we have all our layers. And let's go ahead and select the drawer layer and press enter and then hit the auto key. And we'll go ahead and slide this to 50 frames. And then we'll go ahead and select move, and we can go ahead and right click it on the drawer and then just simply move it forward. Select that auto key again and then move it back. So in 100 frames it's going to move out at 50 and then back at 100. And then you can test out that little animation sequence if you need to. Alright, now we're in a front view here, and we're going to be working on the tabletop pieces. So let's go ahead and select the left leaf, and we're going to follow the same procedure. We'll go ahead and move this out 50 frames, and then we'll right click on it. First thing we'll do is rotate it. We want to see what it's at minus or positive. And then if you click the tab here, we can see it's going in the positive direction, so we'll go ahead and type in 90. And once we rotate it 90 degrees, we have to move this up to where we need the drop leaf to be. So we'll move it up and then over, and you simply grab the X or the Y axis lines and then zoom in, and we'll do the same thing. This time we'll try to make sure everything's on the same plane and it is where it needs to be. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on the right side. So we'll select the right side. We're still at 50 frames on the key. We'll go ahead and rotate it, make sure we're seeing what angle it needs to be. In this case it's going to be minus, so we'll type in minus 90. And then press enter, and then we'll move it up and over, up on the y-axis and over on the x-axis. And I can try to eyeball it from the outside, but we do want to zoom in as best we can. Alright, so we'll just clean this up. And then we can go ahead and inspect the animation we did here if we need to. Turn that auto key off. Select the perspective view. And go ahead and play it. And we've created our animation in Viz or 3ds Max. Then what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and grab the material. And the material is always located in your drive where the program files. So another way to do it if you can't find a link to it is go ahead into your program files, Autodesk, and then we'll go ahead and copy this link again. Now you can also try, if you have a link already made, to copy that link that's provided for you on a server, but it's always located within your program files with the software, either 3ds Max or Viz. And you can also try architectural images or textures. And in this case we'll go ahead and we're going to select the architectural materials or the 3ds Max, and you might want to experiment with this. And I'm going to go ahead and select a wood, and again I expect you to find something that's unique and works with your table. and then you want to make sure you drag it into the window display on the material editors. And the tricky part here is you want to make sure that you have this into the proper proportionate, and you do have to experiment with the tiling. So in this case I'll go to 100. Actually looks pretty good. Again, if you want to experiment, you could try making them smaller, larger, and you really don't know till you render it, so it is best to make a quick little rendering as you go along before you do your final animation. And when you do that as a frame, not the whole animation sequence. Again, you may have different results depending on what materials you use. Okay, so that 100 seemed to work out pretty well. And then I can just copy that onto different layers. And it's going to go, whatever the layers that we have on will be the same. And you can always rotate the textures once they're on there. So if you want a different swirling pattern, you can always change that. Sometimes when you put them in, it looks like a solid block, but if they're in different layers, you can rotate them to differentiate between the materials. And you've created everything you need for your rendering. We're not going to be making an environment or lighting here, so we can just render this as an AVI file just as it is without any additional lights. Make sure everything works, and you've finished your project.